Hey guys, Justin here with AmericanTrucks.com, and if you're the owner of a 2015 and newer F-150 and you're looking to level your truck using quality components from an industry leader, well then look no further than the Eibach ProTruck Lift Stage 2 system that we're talking about here today. Now, when installed, this kit will be able to comfortably fit a set of 33 by 12 inch tires thanks to the 2 to 3 inches of additional front end lift thanks to the adjustable coilover design. Now this set will actually also toss in brand new matching dampers for the rear, and the entire kit can be had for the $1,200 to $1,300 price point. Now the Eibach ProTruck coilover kit that we have on the table today is essentially an extremely high quality method of leveling your F-150 while improving the ride quality and performance. Now even though Eibach technically refers to this as a lift kit, interested F-150 owners shouldn't really expect much of an additional lift in the rear, as there's no added blocks or any other hardware that would essentially lift the truck even higher in the back. Now Eibach does state that you might get a little extra altitude out of the shocks themselves, but I would temper your expectations in that regard. Instead, what this kit will do is basically, again, lift the front end 2 to 3 inches depending on your trim, thanks to the adjustable coilovers for the front here. And I do say adjustable because they do kick in the spanner wrenches to adjust the collars to essentially add some different levels of height depending on your trim. That is something I do want to point out here, guys. Eibach gives you a list of different year ranges and trim levels and engine types. So as these things are preset right out of the box, you might get maybe a little bit more height on certain level trucks versus others. So just feel free to check out the site, see what you're working with, but know you do have some adjustability baked into the coilovers themselves. Now, as far as tire fitment is concerned, I would say a safe and recommended size for me is going to be sticking to a 33/12/50 with a pretty aggressive offset if you'd like. You might be able to get away with some bigger sizing at the end of the day, but that really just comes down to things like tire type, tire width, and ultimately your offset. So as it sits now, I can safely recommend a 33/12/50 with this kit installed on your 2015 and newer F-150. Now, as far as your construction is concerned, well, for starters, the entire kit has been designed and built right here in the USA using really nice quality components, both front and rear. Front coilovers, along with the rear shocks, they are going to utilize what is called a true monotube design. There's an internal 46mm piston and nitrogen fill. Now, of course, your front coilovers are equipped with a set of Eibach's proprietary off-road race springs. That's going to contribute to maybe a little bit more of a firm ride on the road, but a lot more control off-road, and just basically increase your off-road capabilities and performance. Now the bodies, along with the coilover top mount here, have been utilized or built using an anodized aluminum material, and the entire kit, by the way guys, is given a limited lifetime warranty, which is a bit of a rarity in the suspension world and really just is a testament to Eibach's quality. Now coming in at or around that $1,200 to $1,300 price point here, guys, this particular Eibach kit will occupy kind of the middle of the road, if you will, in the leveling kit category between those puck style spacer kits on the low end, basically, you know, nice way to level the truck for cheap, but not going to offer much in the way of performance. Obviously, we talked about this kit, but if you even go up a notch, you can look into the Fox Factory race coilovers. They're going to offer maybe a bigger body in addition to a little bit more off-road performance, but as a result, they will be a lot more money at the end of the day. So for someone that looks for leveling the truck, wants to do so in a quality manner, but not totally break the bank, the Eibach stuff, the Stage 2 and the Stage 2R, which we also sell, by the way, are really nice options to consider. But now we want to show you just what it takes to get everything installed on your F-150 at home. Site's going to go strong 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter here, taking you, I would say, at least 2 hours to complete from start to finish. But to give you a better idea of just what's involved, check out our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
Tools required for this install include a couple different size impact guns, a hammer, 18, 19, and 27mm wrenches, 15mm ratcheting wrench, a pair of diagonal cutters, a couple different size swivel adapters, 15mm swivel socket, 18, 19, and 21mm sockets, and a pry bar. What's up guys? Today we're installing a lift kit on our F-150, so let's get started. So on the front, we need to remove our front struts. So the first thing we're gonna do is grab a 21mm socket to disconnect our sway bar end link. So we'll grab our 21mm socket to remove the nut for our sway bar end link. And then we can pull our end link out of the knuckle. Next, we can grab a 21mm socket to remove the nut on our tie rod end. And then we can take a hammer and smack the side of the knuckle here to break this free. Next, we can come underneath our lower control arm and remove the two nuts that are holding our lower strut bolts into place. So we'll grab an 18mm socket to pop these out. Now next, we're gonna drop our lower control arm from our two pivot points. To be able to get this as close to our alignment as possible, I'm gonna take a marker and just make a line here so that once we put everything back together, we can line it up. Now you're gonna have to get an alignment after the lift kit anyway, so this will just make it good enough to take it to the alignment shop. So now with our marks made, we can grab a 27mm wrench on our nut side and a 21mm socket on our bolt side and remove our two bolts. And then we can drop our lower control arm from our strut. Next, we can come up to the top of our strut tower and remove the three 15mm nuts that are holding our strut into place. So I've got a 15mm ratcheting wrench to pop these out. And then with that last one loosened, we can lift up on our strut and spin that the rest of the way off by hand. And then slide our strut out of place. And now with our nuts removed, we can pull our strut out. And then do that same thing on the other side. Now for the rear, we need to remove our shock. The bottom's held in by a 15mm bolt and 18mm nut. The top's held in by a 15mm bolt, and there's a nut with a welded tab, so we don't need to get a wrench on that. To pop this out, I've got a 15mm socket and 18mm wrench. So now we'll start at our lower shock mount with that 15mm socket and 18mm wrench. And then we can pull up on our shock to pop our bolt out. And now we can go up top with our 15mm socket to remove our bolt. And then we can remove our shock. So now we're ready to install our new strut. So we're gonna get this up into place and thread our three nuts onto the studs at the top. Next, we can install our two lower strut bolts. We have our washers on top. And then we'll get those in through our lower control arm. And then we'll get another washer and nut on the bottom of our two studs. Next, we can raise our lower control arm back up into our pivot points. Slide our bolt through and get our nut on the other side. Next, we can spin our nut. And get that lined up with our alignment mark. And then we'll take a 21mm socket and 27mm wrench to tighten that down. And then we can do that same thing on the other side. Next, we can take a 19mm socket and wrench to tighten down our lower strut bolts. Next, we can go back up top and take a 15mm ratcheting wrench to tighten down our 3 nuts. Now, since the front one's the easiest to get to, I'll tighten that down first, and then we can spin our rear 2 on most of the way, so we only have to tighten those down a little bit. Next, we can reinstall our tie rod end and thread on our nut and take a 21mm socket to tighten that down. Next, we can reinstall our tie rod end and thread on our nut. And then we'll grab a 21mm socket to tighten that down. And now you can repeat that whole process on the other side. Now we're ready to install our new shock. So we're gonna get our top mount up into our top mount, get our bolt through, get our nut on, and then we can get our bottom mount bolt through the bottom mount and tighten it all down. Next, we can get our shock into our lower mount. Now we're gonna have to compress the shock to get it up to our lower mount and then get our bolt through. And now we can thread our nut onto the other side of our bolt and take a 15mm socket and 18mm wrench to tighten it down. And now we can go up to our upper shock mount, and we have this tab on the other side. So we just need to use a 15mm socket to tighten this down. Now on the other side, you are gonna have to get an 18mm wrench on the nut because we don't have a tab on that side. Now, the last thing we need to do is zip tie the top of our boot. And then you can take a pair of scissors or diagonal cutters to cut off the excess of your zip tie. And then you can repeat that same process on the other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Eibach Pro Truck Coilover Kit Stage 2 for your 2015 and newer 4-wheel drive 2.7 and 3.5 liter EcoBoost, 5.0 liter F-150 Super Crew, and excluding the Power Boost, Raptor, and Tremor. Thank you for watching, and for all things F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.